I wanted to kind of put an illustration in front of you guys of the difference of being just involved in relationships on a Sunday and being involved in relationships throughout the week. When you get in the game, I'm telling you, when somebody from your small group gets baptized, it is not the same for you. Okay? When somebody from your small groups baptizes somebody else, it is not the same for you. When we get up on a Sunday morning at all of our campuses and somebody gets up and before the offering talks about the next carnation, which can sometimes feel repetitive, I tell you the truth. When they hold up the one that from your small group, you are not at all feeling the same. The perspective is so much better. It's so much richer. Not because the other ones are less valuable, not because the other ones don't get you excited and you don't rejoice over those. It's not because of that, but your perspective of the story and the relationship is so much fuller. I'm hoping that we can launch more groups this year, next year, every year as we continue to move forward in making more and better disciples of Jesus Christ at Bridgewater. That's my prayer, okay? Now, we've talked about the why, but the truth is if we had a bunch of people raise their hand and say, I'm in, we have to do something to equip them, help them, train them, give them the resources to succeed. Otherwise, somebody with great intention can start and get highly discouraged very quickly. And maybe some of you have had that experience. Okay, so what I want to do in this next couple minutes is I'm just going to walk you through some of the resources that our team is putting together and some of the things that we've put together to help you guys. Okay, so the first thing is going to be this launch kit. Okay, I'm going to first tell you what's in it, how it works, and then I'm going to explain the why behind it. I think that the why behind these kind of things and the goal behind them, if you can understand why we're putting the time, effort, and energy into them, it will make a lot more sense for you understanding the fuller picture, okay? So this launch kit, you guys are each going to get one of these today for each of the groups that are represented today. So you're going to get a chance to go through it and kind of look at it for yourselves and take it home, okay? But here's basically what's in it. When you open it up, you're going to find a welcome card in here, but then you're going to find step-by-step instructions. This is what you do as you're going to launch a group, okay? And in here, you're going to find step one. You need to invite other people to your group. And then in the box, you've got a stack of invite cards. You can write the time and the location of your group, and you've got something to hand to people to say, man, I'd love for you to come to my group, okay? I'd love for you to come to our group, meet with us, and we're going to apply the Bible to life, and we're going to build some relationships. We'd love to have you there. Okay? Then you're going to go to step two, and it's going to say, get organized. As you have those conversations, make sure you got all the details in place, where, when, the logistics we talked about. There's a lot of options, but you got to figure those out so that you know the conversation because somebody's going to ask. You got to be ready for that conversation. Then you're going to go to step 3, 4, 5, and so on, okay? There's 5 steps in there. It's going to walk you through it, and each one of them is going to give you a resource to help you accomplish it, okay? After that, you're going to start thinking about, okay, next week we're getting ready to start. What is Tuesday night actually going to look like? And there's this little booklet in here, really short, but it's your first group. And what it's going to do is walk you through, blow by blow, through your first night. Okay? Much of this you could then just rinse and repeat and do again next week. But it's going to give you every piece of the pie, all right? So it's going to start off and say, hey, the day before or the morning of, make sure you text everybody, send them something to make sure they know where to park, what time to be here. Hey, the light out in the front porch is going to be on. This is how you know where we're at. Assume they haven't been to your house before. It's going to tell you all that. Here's what to do. All right? Then it's going to say when they show up, here's what you need to do. Here's the first couple minutes. After 10 minutes, this is what you're going to do. You're going to walk through the whole process. Then it's going to give you the blow by blow at the end. And it's going to, each step of the way, you're going to find the stuff in here and some resources in there to help you do it. Okay? Each step. The end of this book is going to give you a couple things that we call icebreakers. Okay? Story cards that you guys got a chance to just experience this morning as you came in. Story cards are one of the best icebreakers I've found, okay? It's a simple way to ask a question and then let people answer it. And people have the freedom to answer it as deep and emotionally as they want to or as shallow as they feel comfortable with, okay? And so you're putting the power in their hands, and then you just get to sit back and listen to stories. And when you do that, you get to learn a ton of things, okay? So in here, in the box, there's 4 icebreakers that we found are really, really effective, and we're giving you the tools, we're giving you all of the pieces for it so you can do them, okay? You're not going to do them all the same night. The goal of an icebreaker is really simple. It's just to get the conversation moving. Give people, here's one of the things you want to do in an icebreaker. You just want to give people the confidence that if they open their mouth, they're not going to get made fun of. okay? If they open their mouth, we can laugh together. If they open their mouth, they're appreciated that they talked. That's what you're trying to accomplish. And then when people start to understand that with a really simple game or a simple thing like story cards, then when we get into discussion about how to apply the Bible to life, you'd be amazed how many people continue opening up their mouth, okay? And so we're going to try to give you the tools to make that happen. Like I said, when you guys head to your breakouts in a little bit, there's a table out in the lobby as you go out. Grab one of the boxes. What I'm asking is basically one per group. If you're married, just grab one so we have more to give to other groups. Let me talk about the why. Why are we doing this? Why did we invest the time, the resources, stuff to build these? Here's the goal behind them. The first one is to resource our current groups. We've got a lot of groups that I'm just going to be up front. I think a kind of a reset on some of the basics of groups can be really helpful for them. Okay? So if you are doing a group and you get one of these, I would encourage you just read through it, look through it. You may not, everything in there you may not use, okay? But if you get a chance to kind of look through it and go, oh man, that's really helpful, then that will be one or two pieces you can take with you, okay? Another goal is simply to be a strong start for new groups. If you're here today and you're like, man, I'm gonna start a new group, this is a really simple way for you to have a strong start and know that you've got a plan, you're in place, hopefully take some of that anxiety off of the table so you can do it well, okay? And then the last thing is this, is confidence in multiplying. One of the things that I've found to be true is that when you go to split and multiply your group, as soon as you do that, the person who's gonna split off and has been a co-leader has a lot of anxiety thinking, oh man, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous, okay? The confidence in here is twofold. One, for the person who's gonna go start a new group, okay? Give them some confidence so then when they go to do that, they're like, okay, I have the plan. I have a plan. I've got the blow-by-blow, the step-by-step, and if I need something, I can always make a phone call, okay? I can always call back to the guy who I was with co-leading the other group as a resource. He can tell me anything I need to know. She can help me out with whatever comes up, okay? But it gives them the confidence. The second way this gives us confidence in multiplying, I think, is that if you're a guy or a girl who's been leading a group and you're looking around at your group going, man, 1, 2, 3, I see 3 people who could potentially lead a group, but there's no way I'm gonna ask them to do that. You know that you've got a conversation point and the tools to hand them, and you with confidence can spin them off knowing that they have some tools right away that can help them succeed, okay? I have intentionally in the past not split up and spun off a group because I was nervous that how they would do if I wasn't there, or all of those things that would arise. And this just gives me some confidence that if I were to spin them off, hey, they've got everything they need. The first night is probably gonna be the most stressful, and so I'm setting them up, and I know what the first night's gonna look like. The next day, I can get together with them for a cup of coffee, I can take a phone call, and we can walk through how it went, and we can talk through what's next, okay? This gives me some confidence in splitting them off, and spinning them off, as well as gives them some confidence in starting another group. One of the next things we're doing is picking a study, okay? Now, this is, actually somebody brought this up earlier, I don't remember who it was, Daniel, I think. This can be stressful, okay? I'm the small groups guy here, and I'm telling you, it's stressful. You know how it's stressful? This is what I feel like when I think about my group. Maybe you guys have had this happen. Have you ever at 8:30 at night sat down to watch Netflix? You have, right? And you end up going to bed at 9:15, you haven't watched anything. That's my story, okay? You sit down, you're like, what do you want to watch? Oh, I heard bad things about that one. What do you want to watch? I heard that was dumb. What about this one? We've seen that before, you know? And by the time my wife and I actually we're like, well, now if we start it, how many of you said this to each other? If we start it now, we won't go to bed until, right? Forget it, we'll just go to bed, okay? Some of you have had this experience. That's what it's like sometimes picking a study, okay? When you go on, you look at Right Now Media, and it is chock full of amazing studies, and you're like, I don't know. Well, this one, the videos are too long. This one doesn't have discussion questions, and I don't have time to go watch all the videos so that I can come up with this. There's all kinds of things, and it just starts to raise the anxiety. So what we're trying to do, and what I'm trying to do, is help by basically putting in place 2 different tracks that you can jump on and try to eliminate some of that anxiety, okay? Try to make it easy. So when a new group gets ready to start, they can say, okay, I got 2 options, and if I just follow one of these, man, that's gonna be great. So here's the 2 tracks we're looking at. Message-based discussions and a video track. Let me walk through each of them so you guys see them, and then I give you some pros and cons to them, and you figure out how this would fit in your group. Let's start with the message discussions. I'm just going to be upfront. This is my preferred choice, okay? If a group came to me and said, hey, I love leading groups. I've been leading for a while. I know the Bible pretty well. What do you recommend? I'm always going to recommend the first choice is to do message-based discussions. Here's why. Because if we can take the truth that has already been communicated and help people apply it to their life, I'm in favor of that, okay? I don't know about you. I don't obey the stuff I already know, let alone all the stuff I don't know yet, okay? That's my daily devotions, is reviewing the stuff I already know to be true and God convicting me how I still need to apply it to my life, okay? So instead of just keep adding more information, I would love to see some of the people who come to Christ start to really apply the message we're already giving them on a Sunday morning, okay? So this is going to be my preferred thing. Second is we probably, even if you're a mature believer, you've been following Jesus for a long time, we hear stuff on Sunday morning, and until we really think it through and talk it through, we probably haven't thought of all the applications of the truth that was presented to us. And so this is going to be my first one. So what we're doing to do that and help is we're going to provide a guide. We're going to provide the discussion questions and the guide every week so that if you choose this track, all you've got to do is take that PDF and you can go right through the questions, okay? You can review them ahead of time and you're good to go, all right? Couple things you got to know. Next one is you got to watch the sermon, okay? So if you haven't watched the sermon or you weren't there on Sunday, you got to know. You got to make time to go back and watch it, okay? Otherwise, that'll hurt the conversation if you haven't seen it. And there's times where we got work, family, all kinds of different things, vacation. So make sure you watch it or listen to the podcast, okay? Some things you got to know about this. If you're doing a message-based discussion, you've got to be at least cognizant of the idea of how many people are coming to your group on a Tuesday night and are also coming on Sunday, okay? You can use it as a catalyst to help people who are coming on Tuesday night but not on Sunday. A couple times of that happening, you may be able to go, you got to come on Sunday. You're missing out because you don't know the conversation we're going to be talking about. And it may, and it totally could work that they can come, and it does work sometimes. But you've got to be careful because at the same time, if that keeps going and they don't come on Sunday, they'll just stop coming on Tuesday night because they've walked in week after week and they have no idea what the conversation is. So it can also hurt you, okay? So you got to be at least understanding about it. The other thing you got to know about discussion is the message discussion is it's highly set on the facilitator, okay? You're not looking at a video, you're not bringing in an outside thing, so you've got to be comfortable with the facilitator because you're guiding the discussion for the full hour, if that's how long you're doing your discussion, okay? Now, the video track's a little bit different. Video track, you got to know it's tech dependent, okay? We're going to use basically two different platforms for that, Right Now Media and Anthology. They both do awesome with some incredible small group curriculums, and basically what I'm doing is instead of you guys sitting down to look at Netflix, I'm curating that and saying, okay, here's the next one. This is what we're doing next. If you're doing the video track, here's what we're doing next. You'll know that ahead of time, and at any time, if you're like, man, this series coming up on the preaching side, I want to do that. I think that's going to be helpful for our group. Just jump back and forth. It's completely fine, okay? But it's highly tech dependent, but it's also really good for new groups for a couple reasons. The first reason is that for a new group, they may not have all of the experience and really good confidence in leading a discussion. So number one, it gives them a video to play, and that takes up some of the time, and the full burden of the full time is not on them to lead a discussion. The second way it's really helpful, my opinion, is the video gives you a third party in the room that everybody points to and talks about, okay? If I'm leading the discussion, I'm giving you my opinion or my thought, and then we're interacting with that, and we're referring back to something that happened on Sunday. Not that that's a problem, but that's now a little bit distance from our conversation. You put it right here, and we can all disagree and agree and criticize whatever we want in the conversation, and nobody really gets hurt feelings because we don't know him and he's not actually here. Does that make sense? But we laugh because it's kind of funny, but it's true. And if you do that in a group, it's really helpful to have that little bit of a buffer, especially if you're not really confident yet leading a discussion. It puts that little bit of a buffer to go, well, I don't really know about that, okay? And that's okay. It takes you off the hot seat sometimes, okay? So that's basically what it is. Let me give you an idea. We are already set for this whole rest of the calendar year through December. So if you're thinking about, man, that might work for me, here's what the video track looks like starting September. It's going to start off with this. We're going to start with a 4-week series by Andy Stanley called Circle Up. This is an amazing series, okay? Basically what this does is walks through the expectations of a small group, okay? It walks through, here's what a small group is all about. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to know. And in doing that, if you've been doing a small group for a while, sometimes it's really helpful to hit reset and make sure everybody knows what we're supposed to be doing in the room because we get off track. Somebody mentioned that earlier when we were talking about some things up on the board, okay? And it gives you an opportunity to kind of bring people back into line, all right? But if you're a new group, you immediately can set the expectations on everybody. Everybody knows what the plan is. Everybody knows what we're here for. Everybody knows all of that right up front in 4 weeks. And it's really interactive and it's awesome. One of the weeks is all about just what's your story and just hearing about people's lives. And it's really helpful. As the leader, all you've got to do in that is sit back and listen because you will get way more information about the relationships than you ever bargained for. And then as soon as it's done, just pray and thank God and ask him how you proceed with what you just heard, okay? After that, we're going to jump right into a study that's led by Francis Chan on the Gospel of Mark. This will take us all the way to Christmas, okay? So it is verse by verse right through the Gospel of Mark. It is awesome, okay? Here's something I want to encourage you. If this is an option to you, I want to encourage you to consider this. Here's why. The Gospel of Mark, he shoots all the videos on site in Israel. So when you get to chapter 6 in Mark, and he's talking about Jesus walking on the sea, and he's talking about him walking on the water, it's not him at some church in California preaching. It's him on a boat in the middle of the Sea of Galilee reading the text going, Jesus walked on this water. Okay? I think that's cool, and here's the 2 reasons why I think it's valuable. Number 1, if you've been reading the Bible for a long time, it is so cool to see what we've only read about. Okay? Number 2, if somebody is learning the faith, they're growing and they're just at the beginning of their journey and they see it, what a cool way to kind of go, guys, this is real. It happened in a real place, in a real time, with real people. This is not a story that somebody made up. This is history. Okay? What a cool thing to talk through. And for people to see it visually is really cool. All right? Now, along the way, there's some cool things we're doing. Let me just share those with you quickly, and then we're going to get to our breakouts in a minute. So along the way, you got all kinds of questions that will arise. And so basically, we built a website to set everything up. You can find it at bridgewater.church, just like everything else. You go to that site, go to Next Steps, and you'll see all the next steps. Baptism, follow Jesus, learn, and it'll say groups. Nothing's changed there. On the groups page, though, down at the bottom, there's a little blue button that says Small Group Resources. That's for you guys, okay? It's open to anybody, but it's there for you if you need it, okay? And let me walk through what's there and why we're doing it. What's there, basically, this is where you're going to find the discussion questions. I'll get into that in a minute, a little bit more. You're going to find some best practices, some of the questions that we talked about. If we don't cover them today, I will get them and make sure they're on there and get you answers to some of those. And then lastly, some training. Meeting once a year in this setting is really helpful, but not enough in my opinion. And so if I can put some more things in that on that website that can help you as the needs arise and as issues come to the surface, then that helps you. A lot of times we can say all kinds of things, but until the need arises and the pressure and the tension is actually in the group, that's just information. Then it becomes really necessary, and you'll eat it up. So here's the goal. Just trying to give you some resources. The next thing we're trying to do is equip. And then lastly is some communication, okay? So that we've got ways to communicate with you. So there's 2-way communication, but before I talk to you about that, let me show you this. This is what the front page of the website looks like if you go through groups and go to the resources, okay? If you click on small sermon discussions, you'll get a PDF with the discussion questions for this week's message, okay? If you go to the weekly emails, you can sign up. I'm asking all of our group leaders to sign up for the weekly emails. What you're going to get in that is every Sunday, you're going to get the weekly message discussion questions and the links to the video track and discussion questions emailed right to you, okay? So you don't have to go find them. On Sunday, they show up in your inbox. You can review them before Tuesday night or whenever your group is. And then when you get there, just pull out your phone, go to your email. There's your discussion questions. I'm trying to make it really, really simple so you guys don't have added burden and added steps, okay? The resources will take you to all kinds of videos, articles, all kinds of stuff that we're curating to be helpful to you. Support is basically a place for you guys to ask questions. You can interact at any time and say, I got a question, raise a flag, raise a hand, and there you go, okay? As you're working with people, anybody who wants to become a leader, There's a small form on there they can fill out, and then basically it's going to come to me. I'm going to sit down or contact the champion or campus pastor and just say, hey guys, we've got somebody interested in leading a group. Let's find out what we've got to do and have a conversation with them, okay? And then the video track, same as discussion questions, just a link takes you right there, okay? Now here's the two-way communication. You got two-way communication. The one way is me dispensing information to you guys, and that's going to happen every week through that weekly email. You'll get the discussion questions, the video track, and then any other pertinent information. Upcoming events, upcoming anything, dates that are important, anything like that. Any wins, like if we hear about somebody who accepts Christ in one of the small groups, man, I'm going to share that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to celebrate that win as small group leaders. If we have some of those things happening, we're just going to celebrate them. And then also any new resources that come out, there'll be a link there so that if they're relevant to you and they're helpful, you can just click on it and go there. If not, just open it, get your discussion questions, and move on, okay? The other way, because it's two-way, coming back to me is done through the attendance. Here's how you do it, really quick. In your email, after your group, you're going to get an email. You just click on it, follow the prompts through, click the attendance, and hit submit. That's it, okay? How many of you have already gotten those emails in the past? That's not new. That's something we've been doing, okay? The why behind that is basically so we can track some growth, so that we can see who new attenders are and as people get added, and then also for communication. Two things real quick. At the bottom of that form, most people don't use them, and you don't need to, but I want to make sure you know about them. There's a spot where you can put new attenders, you can put their name in. If you do that, in the office, we will automatically add them to the list so you can just check the box next week, okay? So I'd encourage you to put their name in. The second thing is there's another box at the bottom that's just event notes, okay? If you have any questions, if you have anything that comes up, any issues, I got a really weird thing happen tonight. I've got somebody who came into my group, and this situation they just opened up about is way bigger than I know what to do with, okay? Put it in the event notes. I read every one of them. And if it's just attendance, I'll go to the next one. But if you put something in there and raise a hand like, I need some help over here, I will read it, I'll respond to you, I'll reach out to the campus pastor, we will make sure you get some help, okay? You are not doing this alone. We're a team, and we want to work that way. So you've got two-way communication. Every week, I'm going to kick you an email, and every week, you're going to get an opportunity to kick something back if something arises. If nothing does, just keep going. Have a great week, okay? Make sense?